So the basic premise of the movie is that the son, who's a recovering drug addict, comes back home for Christmas and his mom is overjoyed. Of course things aren't that simple and there's some tension, because this isn't their first rodeo, they've been through this before. But he appears to be doing well. He's sober and trying to stay sober. So this immediately reminded me of a recent movie called Beautiful Boy. Both are about a drug-addicted son and an extremely loving parent. But in this one it's about the son and the mom. That's the central dynamic here. It's about their relationship and their struggles. And it's a lot about the mom's love for her son. But apart from that, this takes a very different approach to the subject than Beautiful Boy. First of all, it takes place over less than 24 hours, so it's a lot more condensed. It's more of a snapshot, a glimpse into their lives, than a complete history of his addiction. And second of all, the tone is a lot less dark and gritty too. This one has this sort of light-hearted, humorous undertone throughout the whole movie. Even when it gets super dark, they usually do something to make it less heavy than it could be. So this really isn't as much of a bummer as it could have been. It's also got this kind of sleek look to it that helps with that a lot too. That's not to say that it's a comedy, or that it doesn't take the subject matter seriously, but it finds a way to keep it from going too dark and depressing. And I absolutely loved the dynamic between the mom and the son, played by Julia Roberts and Lucas Hedges. They were really good in this. And it's been a while since Julia Roberts has impressed me this much, but she seems to be leaning into these more motherly characters lately, and I like it. She's got a knack for it, and I found her to be very believable in this. And yeah, these two basically carried the movie, because there's some major issues with it. Especially in the second half, it sort of goes off the rails. But these two together keep it somewhat compelling, even when the plot isn't. And if these two performances wouldn't have been as good as they were, I would have probably hated this thing, because the script is a bit of a mess. Instead of focusing on the characters and their dynamics, it all of a sudden gets really plot heavy and completely falls apart in the second half. Like there's this thing that happens and then the story basically takes a left turn. It veers off and comes up with this ridiculous Hollywood plot that's not even remotely believable. And I feel like they could have at least come up with something a little bit less contrived. I mean, I was literally shaking my head at certain points, like, come on. Really? It just got so dumb, and it's honestly a shame, because I liked the characters and the performances. I was actually emotionally invested in this movie, so much that even all the ridiculous stuff couldn't completely ruin it. And it really should have, because towards the end there, it's just not good. And yeah, I was really disappointed with how this thing turned out, because it starts off strong and has a really solid core to work with. But then it just wastes it and almost turns into some sort of, I don't even know, crime thriller? Just so they can up the stakes and get a big finale. It just felt so out of place and unnecessary. I mean, there's a million other things they could have done. But they didn't, and the end result is a very mixed bag. It's just not a great movie, but there's something to it. And the performances sort of held it together. Barely. But would I recommend it? Well, no, not really, so probably skip it. Or don't. I'm not your disapproving mother, but I am trying to sell out, so consider liking, subbing, hitting that bell and supporting me on Patreon. Because I really need to get myself some early Christmas presents. And hey, why not drop a comment below and check out another review? I'd appreciate it. Thanks.